lights are now not taller than the new monitor.
Oh.
So like there's shadows in places I don't want shadows.
Right.
Or I have to move things. Everything's a mess. The new setup needs time.
Mine too. I'm not done yet. I still have to get that thing that I want to put my lights on, and I want everything off my desk on C-clamped things so that I have more desk space. Because it's a large desk, but like got the work laptop, the personal laptop. It's just a lot of shit on here right now. So
I know the feeling.
It's a work in progress.
I know
It's a work in progress.
We'll
but I'm in love with my desk still. And I'm in love with this low profile mic arm. This was the best thing for me. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I don't know what I'm doing right now with my setup. We'll figure it out.
We're figuring it out. We're on a journey. We're on a journey, okay?
It's something.
Welcome. Welcome, people. Welcome. All right. I'm excited.
What have you read, or what are you currently reading?
Well, this morning I started The Future by Naomi Alderman. This comes out November 7th, but by the time this episode airs, this will be out.
What is that?
So thank you. Is this Random House?
That looks like one of the symbols from Red Rising.
No, I'm sorry. It does. No, thank you, Simon & Schuster. Thank you, Simon & Schuster, for this advanced copy. However, let me just give me a minute to talk to the delivery guy who thought it was real cool to leave my effing package in my driveway when it was pouring down raining. Now, this came in a very cute special box, right? Where's that box?
You mean like they did with the shards, and this is what my copy of the shards looks like?
Yeah, you see that? People on video, can you see that? So it came in this box, right? And so when I got it, the box was drenched, right? Drenched. There's water stains on the inside. And then the book is like damn near ruined. So yeah, thanks delivery guy who thought it was a good idea to drop off this box in the driveway when it was pouring down raining. You jackhole. Anyway, my daughter's here bringing me a Slurpee because she loves me. Thank you, man. And my grandson's here to give me the straw. Come on and say hi to the people. All right?
Watch Kayla. The lights, people. Hi,
Kayla. Just stick your head in the video so the folks can see you, okay? All right. Okay, now they're leaving because they also love me. They have things to do. Okay, I'll call you later. I love you. Okay, have fun. Okay, Dee, go downstairs. So yeah, thanks, guy. Anyway, I started The Future this morning, and I'm only 34 pages in, but I am intrigued. So far we have been introduced to 1, 2, 3 tech people, 2 tech bros, 1 tech lady. And they're pretty much like competitors or whatever. Like they're all on each other's heels, you know, developing the next best thing, right? And the first tech guy that we meet, he's been in business probably a couple of decades or whatever, and he's married. But whatever's going on in his marriage, he has already talked to lawyers and has like divorce papers ready to be presented to the wife. But it appears as though the wife thinks they're solid. So I don't know what's going on there, but he's got plans and he's already talking about like finding a new person. So it's very strange. I'm sure we'll get more backstory as the story goes on, but something's going on there. And then we've got the other tech bro who I don't know much about yet. But I'm intrigued by him because the other guy's very worried about what he's working on. And then there's the tech lady who ousted the CEO of the company. And so now she's the big dog, and she just lost her husband, who she still sees and talks to randomly because she misses him so much. And so they're all competitors. They're all rich tech bro gals or whatever. And they've just gotten this message and it's indicating to me that it's like some kind of an end of the world kind of thing. And so these tech people have some kind of escape plan, right? Where they've got this elaborate plan for them and their families to like get out of Dodge, to go over to New Zealand, and to go in a bunker. So I've left off at the part where they're all packing, they're all following the protocol as to what to do when the quote unquote end of the world happens. And that's where we are. So I am super intrigued as to what's happening. I want to know more about these backstories of these people. And that is The Future by Naomi Alderman. So
is it dark or is it kind of funny?
It's not really dark yet. I might get in a dark tone at this moment. It feels like dark comedy at the moment. You know what I mean? Not dark in a like gloom and doom way, but it feels like a dark comedy. But who knows?
The tone sounds like that. Yeah. It sounds like that could be the tone, and then that would be fun.
Right. So I don't know what I'm in for, but I'm kind of excited. So we'll see where that goes.
Well, I have recently finished, finally, because I've only wanted to read this for about 1,000 years, The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins, which my critique of this is not really a critique. It's just that I was unaware of just how long this book really was. It's over 600 pages, but it is a long 600 pages. Like, I was not aware that this story was like...
Alyssa, hang on a minute. This whole time, I've always thought that book was like a quick 300 pages.
Exactly.
You're telling me it's double?
No. And it is small font, 600 pages. Small font, 600 pages. So I was kind of like, how is this not ending yet? How has this gone on this long? But not necessarily like in a like this story is too long, like I'm bored kind of way, but just kind of like I was flabbergasted that the story is this long.
I had no idea.
But I did really enjoy this. I feel like, despite all that, I did really enjoy this book. I think that this is, if you wanted to try like some Victorian literature, I think this is really like accessible in a lot of ways, and I really enjoyed it. It's about this man whose name has already escaped me, Walter Hartwright, and he gets this job as a painting instructor in this household for these two young women. They're half sisters, and they're with their like uncle who's weird, and he's raising them because the parents are gone. And on his way to go to this house, he runs into this woman in white, and he like helps her get to wherever she's going, and there's just something about her that's very strange. And then he ends up realizing, because he then runs into people right afterwards that are like, did you see this woman? And he's like, what are you talking about? And they're like, she escaped an insane asylum. And you're like, okay. And then he gets to the house, and spoiler alert, one of the girls looks just like the woman in white, and that is the setup for a lot of the story. And it does give me much thoughts of Fingersmith as well.
What?
So, and it's the story about, you know, the of love and murder, or just like death. Something's going on. Something's happening. It's twisty. It's turny. Parts of it are told in like witness almost statements. It's sort of like a thriller. It's good. It's good. So like the girl who looks like the woman in white, she and the painter kind of hit it off, but she's engaged to be married to this other guy who's very sus, and he's the one who put the woman in white into the insane asylum, because they actually know this woman in white because she was somehow randomly living with them for some period of time.
Ooh, that is Fingersmith
so like
vibes.
She's known. It is so like twisted and just wonderful, and there's some really great characters in here. It's fun. It's good. It's a good time.
Now I have to get that. So I only own one book by
Wilkie Collins,
and that is Moonstone.
I have the Moonstone too.
Yeah, that's the only one that I have of theirs. But heck, that does give very much Fingersmith vibes. Ooh,
Or
Okay.
we should probably say it the other way around, that Fingersmith
Fingersmith
gives
has the
Woman
woman
in
in
White
white
vibes.
vibes. Correct. Correct.
Um, It is good. It is good. And I love this whole idea of like, I love when people play with the asylum thing, because like you could just like put a
Yes.
woman in an asylum for like anything.
Wasn't that effing nuts? No pun intended, but my goodness.
Yeah.
You
So
all
it
wish
says
y'all could do that now, don't you?
this is the first and most influential of the Victorian genre that combined gothic horror with psychological realism.
Yes.
So there's
Okay,
like
that's
a
on the
lot.
list.
There's a lot of like weird things going on in the story in these houses with, and like there's a lot of parallels with the Fingersmiths. So you really see where like Sarah Waters has pulled a lot of the parallels from,
Mm-hmm.
including this like the uncle is very much like the old man in
Mm-hmm.
the story
Oh
in
my
the Fingersmith,
goodness.
but less like creepy. He's just
Yeah.
old and weird in the story,
Yeah.
and not so like sinister and weird. But anyway, yeah. And now that I'm looking at them,
Wow.
they're like about the same size.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah,
Oh, reading is fun.
reading is fun.
It's so
So yeah.
fun. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that to the show. Now I'm gonna have to add that to my Apple Note as one to look at or look for when we're at McKay.
You do. And I had so some of my problem with a lot of the Victorians is that I've watched a lot of them as like BBC productions, because
Yes.
we had PBS as kids, and like we didn't
Mm-hmm.
have cable, and so like I ended up watching a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like, I know that story vaguely, but I've never read that story, and so it's a strange
Mm-hmm.
place to be, because I'm like, do I read it? Do I care?
Mm.
Sometimes it's like,
I know.
I
It's
don't
like the
need to read
Wolf
it.
Hall trilogy. You're like, but I've seen it 1,000 times. You know, like you were
Yeah, but
saying,
like
you've seen
Henry
it a
VIII and
thousand
his
times.
wife are like, that's my Roman Empire.
Okay, so all right, so that you don't get tired of that, no matter how many times you've seen it, read it.
I was literally watching stuff about Anne Boleyn this morning at like 4 a.m.
Alyssa, I can't
knitting.
with you. I can't.
I was just knitting away in the middle of the night watching.
Sometimes
Why?
you are hilarious.
What else am I supposed to do? Jesus was sleeping and sending me weird text messages about boats.
Oh my goodness! All right, folks, listen. Today,
I was also watching about medieval sex and how
about
sex
what?
in medieval sex.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think was probably really kinky and frisky. So,
well, it was very hard to find alone time.
Yeah, well, they weren't following you and looking after you and tending to you and.
But also, just like a regular person, you didn't have like your own personal room with like a door. You like all slept together in like a room. So like mama and daddy are like making your sisters and brothers while you're sleeping 3 feet from them.
Kind of hard to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Make it.
But apparently the sin, according to medieval priesty people, is not the sex, it's the enjoyment of them. So the less fun you're having, the less sinful it is.
Are you serious?
Yes, because it's supposed to only be for making babies. So if you're doing it to have fun, and you're having fun while doing it. But on the flip side, Victorians, you were supposed to have fun doing it. Like you were not a good man if you weren't giving pleasure.
Wow. History.
Yes, the history of sex is very interesting.
Ain't it grand?
It is grand.
Wow.
Now, in Regency period, they were kinky.
Wow. I don't even know what to say. Alrighty then. Thanks for that lesson. And now I feel like looking at books on the history of sex. So,
girl, I'm a wealth of pointless information.
But is it pointless? Is it?
I don't know. I was like, everybody was very intrigued the other night at work because I was like, have you seen, I don't know, someone we were talking about animals. I was like, well, have you seen a dick? And everyone's like, you're basically like, no, look it up. And if you've never looked at a dick, D-I-K, if you put something else in, you're going to get a whole different search return. They are the cutest things you've ever seen in your entire life.
Oh.
They're about like a foot tall at the shoulder. like little like deer-like creatures.
Oh.
They're from Namibia, and they are adorable, and they make the cutest little sound you've ever seen.
Oh.
They're
That
so
does
cute.
sound cute.
I want one. I could put it
Oh.
in a papoose.
Mercy would be like, what is that? What have you brought into this
Yeah,
home?
yeah.
Get it
Mercy.
out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Mercy wouldn't
taking
like
up
it.
all the attention.
Yeah, Mercy wouldn't like it.
Hmm. All right.
Anyway,
Well,
I hope that I interpreted your brief appropriately.
yeah.
Because I only have
Because
3 books here. I only have 3
oh,
authors. Because sometimes you do this
yes.
where you say a number and you want us to have it, and then sometimes you do this and you want us to have the number.
Oh, I don't think I thought about that. Whether I have what we need. So you've got 3, I've got 3. Boom. Let's roll.
Okay, good.
Let's roll.
Sometimes
Okay.
I don't understand
Because
your
sometimes I'm
intention.
not clear because I'm doing notes at like 3 o'clock in the morning when I should be asleep.
When I'm watching Anne Boleyn and knitting, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
Anywho,
Today,
so what is this episode?
yeah, today we are going to share with you books that we read of authors that we read for the first time, and now we're just kind of like hooks in. We love them. Want to read more this year. This year. Is it this year?
Yes.
Okay. That changes things. All right. I'm ready. I go to my other selection. Now I'm ready.
You only need 3 of them. We'll have 6 for you total.
I've got them.
At some point, we'll know what we're doing. We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah. You know how it is. Sometimes you read an author for the first time and you just immediately like fall in love, and you're like, you know what? I want to read whatever else they've already written and whatever else they write in the future. Like, boom! I'm there. I'm reading it. Auto read for sure. So that's what this episode is. Yeah. All right. Do you want to kick it off, or should I kick it off?
I can kick it off, and we can see if I'm right in what we're doing. So my first one is Gwendolyn Riley, who wrote My Phantoms, which I absolutely loved and read in the beginning of this year. And I finally, when I was at the Strand, I picked up True Love, First Love, which I haven't read yet. And we all know I'm a sucker for New York Review of Books. I will pick up anything by them. But I really love this. I think that she is a phenomenal, just general writer, but also of like women's kind of lit. And I always feel like that's a weird title because I feel like it's somehow because of patriarchy that feels like it undermines what it is. But The Phantoms was a fantastic look at the relationship between mother and daughter and also mother and father. And I really loved the way Riley handled that and the way that she wrote about it. And I thought it was very easy to connect with and it's so relatable for me. And her prose was straightforward and I loved it. I love everything about it. So I'm excited to try First Love and anything else I can get from them, get my hands on. But yeah, My Phantoms was phenomenal. So if you want to read something really great and about mother-daughter relationships that are messy, like I liked the mess and I like that there's a little bit of humor. And I was realizing something last night as I was reading my Patreon pick for the month, The Will of the Many, which is good. But I'm realizing one of the things that I really like is a little bit of humor, and doesn't have to be like comedy or funny, but there has to be this almost tongue-in-cheek or like knowing that not so serious, I guess. Somewhere there has to be like a little breath where it's a little less serious. Because life is also really funny. And it can be very darkly funny. It could just be like funny. And I think that when something is totally devoid of that, it's hard for me to read. And I feel like Gwendolyn Riley, at least in My Phantoms, did a really great job of putting like a little bit of kind of like humor into it.
Yeah.
And I think that makes something relatable. If you ask me.
That second book of hers, was that one of the Dorothy Project selected books?
I don't know. I know that it's really well received. I think it was her first book. It's supposed to be very, very, very good. But I have
I feel
not.
like I've seen that on the Dorothy Project website.
Probably.
Yeah.
I know that somebody else publishes it, and there's another cover for it. I like,
Yeah.
like I will see it. Like where were we? We were at a book sale, something, and Jesus picked up books, and I saw the spine, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "What did you get from New York Review of Books?" And
Uh-huh.
he's like, "What?" It's like, "You
Yep.
okay?" I'm like, "No, what is that?" I
Yeah.
see what it is.
Because you know what it looks like. It's they have a format.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just. I want like a whole shelf of just these. Anyway, um. So yeah, pick those up.
I shall pick them up for sure.
Yes, you
I
must.
shall. All right. My first one is a book and author that I've already talked about, but I'm obsessed with her already. And I've picked up something else by her. That's Elizabeth Moon. This is a sci-fi series. This is the first book. This is Trading in Danger. I forgot the name. Oh, this is the Vada War series. And in this book, Kai Vada, she is from the Vada family. They have this huge like transport company, and she's in like a military school. She's a very prominent school, but she makes a mistake that on the face of it isn't really bad, but from the perspective of the school, it's terrible. And so they throw her out. And when her family gets wind of it, her dad and her brother make this huge plan on how she's going to get back on track, obviously without her consent or without even consulting her at all, because why would they? And she then works for the family transport business, and she goes on a first run, and she meets up with a customer, and that customer has something that's missing. They missed a run, and so Vada makes a deal with that customer outside of her family business, and then so on and so forth goes the journey of Vada on this whole mission alone. And I like this character because she is smart, intelligent, she is funny, she's extremely capable, and she is strong-willed and determined and sassy, and I adore her. I had a really good time with this first book. I'm so happy that I have the rest of the books to continue the series. And when I was at McKay a few runs ago, I picked up this fantasy series that Elizabeth Moon wrote. They had the complete bind up. So I'm just all in with this author. I only found her while doing one of my, weird internet deep dives trying to find various books. And she kept popping up on some blogs. And so I'm thrilled to have discovered her online because I am all in full hog with Elizabeth Moon.
I
Boom.
love when you go on your deep dives. I don't really understand how I find books. I just do.
Yeah, I'm definitely, maybe we should do an episode about this too, but I think you and I, in terms of like going to bookstores, we're the same because we peruse everything when we have the time. Mm-hmm. And then I do, like, there are certain things that I'm looking for, and I will search for those things online, mm-hmm. and I will search real deep. I get into the bowels of the internet looking for certain books, and that's how I found a lot of great stuff too.
I know you. I know how you shop.
Mm-hmm. Listen, folks. There are certain people you can bookshop with and certain people you cannot bookshop with. Book shopping is something that I can do with Alyssa because we are the same. I spend 3 hours in McKay. So does she. When she comes to visit me and we go to McKay, it is a 3-hour journey of book shopping in one frickin' store. After we've already visited 5 other stores for books. Not everyone can get down like that. Find you a friend that you can literally bookshop for multiple hours with. It will change your reading life. Just saying. Yeah.
I like to go book shopping.
Yeah.
I can also go quick. Like sometimes we go quick into like the book barn because like I know.
Yes.
Know what I'm looking for.
Exactly.
But yeah, there's that day I had to do like supermarket sweeps in the book barn.
Right. Yes.
It was crazy. She's like, you got 5 minutes. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Anyway. guess we'll just go in the order that they are piled up in front of me. It feels like I read this last year, but I guess I didn't. I guess I read this year. But Alison Rumfitt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think apparently I read this in 2023. I thought I read this last year. So this is Tell Me I'm Worthless. Obviously, I've also read Brainworms. They both have their own reviews. I love this book so much. And not just because it makes a Rebecca reference, but that does help. Anytime you can reference Rebecca, I'm happy. But there's just so much to unpack from this. And I think the structure of this horror novel is just brilliantly done. I love the messaging in it in general. I love the balance between our two characters, our transgender character and our TERF, and how well Rumfitt does like giving both of those characters a voice, and in the most unbiased way that they probably could, so that you as the reader can just kind of experience both characters and all of their flaws and come to your own, well, you don't really come to, like, there is a direction and a like a point to the whole book, but you get to develop your own thoughts as you go along about each character, without heavy-handedly being like, this one's really bad and this one isn't. You really, they're great at making sure that everybody knows that everybody has flaws in this. But anyway, I really love this. I cannot wait to see how their work develops over time, because I just, as much as like Brainworms wasn't Tell Me I'm Worthless for me, I still really enjoyed it. I think that there is a lot of skill, and I think sometimes these genres that are genre fiction get like written over as being somehow less worthy or less important or less intelligent, or like insert your bias against genre fiction. But I feel like sometimes things like horror in particular, or romance, like all these things can talk about really incredibly heavy topics, especially horror, I think, and fantasy.
Oh yes, for sure.
Talk about incredibly heavy topics in a way that is, it draws people in more easily than if you had hit them with like a serious lit fic or serious nonfiction or like something like that. You can talk about the same topics from a different angle and get people involved in the messaging. And I think that Alison Rumfitt does a really great job of that with horror. And I just, and it's all so like grotesque, and like it's so well done, and I love it. I love it so much.
Tell Me I'm Worthless is one of Willow's from Books and Bout. It's one of their favorite books.
It is a phenomenally well done book. It really is. It is layered. It takes on certain tropes that are like classic sort of horror tropes, like the haunted house, and uses it to show like the corruption that's happening, particularly in the UK. It's all like a metaphor. The house is a whole metaphor for the UK and the things that happen there. It's so good. It is such like, and that's why like it's hard for me to talk about Brainworms, because it's just not Tell Me I'm Worthless, which is fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And it's not turning me off from Alison Rumfitt. It's exactly. Just, at some point, they're probably going to write another Tell Me I'm Worthless, and I cannot wait to see what that is. Do you know what I mean? Like, at some point, they're going to knock it like that. I love it. I think it's great.
I'm so excited. I could not stop.
And even like in here, there is humor. So like that's the funny thing. So like there is really dark humor. Like think about like Mayfly. Like there's dark humor in it. There's like little respites throughout, and like it needs to actually be funny. And I think it's hard to, I think that's the kind of humor that's almost hard, that to make it come off genuinely and not like weird. But anyway, love this. So
I shall pick up both books at some point and read
more Rumfitt. Yeah.
Okay. My second one is no stranger to Alyssa, because it is the first book pick for our 2023 reader schedule, and that is Baldree. by Ava
Oh
Baltazar.
yeah. How did we
Translated
not have that on our short books?
because I needed it for this episode. I had to make a choice.
I am so irrationally angry at people who don't like Boulder,
Boulder
especially if
was
they're men.
fantastic. Wait a minute.
Especially if they're men.
Hold that
When
thought, because
there's
I'm gonna want to hear that. You just saved that. I'm gonna want to hear that.
all right, anyway, you talk about Boulder.
Hang on. All right. So Boulder by Ava Baltazar, translated from the Catalan. Is it Catalan or Catalan?
Catalan.
Catalan.
I don't know. What do you think? I don't think I know.
Sometimes
I don't know anything.
No, sometimes you know, and I don't know. Translated
Sometimes
by Julia Sanchez, who is becoming one of my favorite translators. I think I've read 3 or 4 books now that she's translated. So we should do an episode about that. Some of our favorite translators, because I'm getting to the point now where if I see the translator, I want the book just based off of them now.
Truthfully, I don't think I've ever paid attention to who the translator is.
Really?
Yeah. So it would actually be really interesting, because I wonder if I do gravitate towards certain ones, but I don't know it.
Right? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's making me want to go back and look at all the other translated books I've read and see who the translator is. But Julia Sanchez, she's got something. So anyway, Boulder's a very unconventional story. Alyssa and I both loved it. We've got a cook here. She's a cook on a merchant ship, and what's her name? Samsa. And while they, I don't know, what do you call it, when they dock or whatever. When they dock, was that what you call it? When they dock or whatever, and she has time to go off the boat or whatever to explore the town, she meets this woman and they get into a relationship, and, they end up, moving forward and moving in together. And this woman that she's with, says she wants to have a child. Well, Boulder is like, okay, but like really doesn't want to do it, but doesn't really know how to say she doesn't want to do it. And so she's not forced, but she's forced into this new life that she has really never gravitated towards. And it is the journey into how that relationship develops as they enter into motherhood, and how they each deal with that as a couple and individually. And I thought it was a really interesting look at, basically like every woman does not want to be a mother. That's number one, and she is a kind of person where I don't really think she wants to have any roots. And so it's a very unconventional story, because it kind of flips the head on what we think all women want to be and want to have. It is a complete opposite of that. It's a very non-traditional kind of a story. And it's also, this is a part of a trilogy. This is actually book 2.
I have not read Permafrost yet.
Me neither, but I have it. Permafrost is book 1. Boulder is book 2. And then book 3, I don't know what the English word for mammoth is, but I did read that it's currently being translated into English. So at some point, we're going to get that, and I'm very excited. So I'm going to wait for you to get this so we can read it together.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Because I think that'd be really interesting to also like start getting like the full story. So I hope we get book 3 soon, because I don't know if it's like a continuation. Like, I don't really know what's happening, but it's a trilogy, and that's interesting. So anyway, pick up Boulder by Ava Baltazar.
Yes.
Yay.
I get mad when men don't like it, because I feel like the reason that I end up hearing is always like, basically it boils down to the fact is like, you just don't understand women is really why you don't like it. Does that make sense?
What were they saying?
Because it's always like, oh, she's just kind of like whiny, or that it's just kind of it's not understanding that there are complex emotions around relationships and sex and wanting to have children, and that different women are going to feel different ways, and that this is not like some sort of love story. This is really like one woman's obsession with another woman, and then how that all crumbles, and how these two people don't even know each other, and how there's like nothing wrong with that as a story. Like, I don't know. I get irrationally mad when people don't like that book, because I think
wow, that is so interesting. Ooh, what would it be like to break this book down with a guy on the show?
I don't know. But I feel like that happens a lot with like motherhood books. I think that a lot of times it's almost like they miss the point, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a different conversation. I've never had
Yeah.
a child, but like I know feelings and I know what other people are like, and we all have our own relationship around like motherhood and like whether we want to be a mother or not and all this other stuff. And
And
I
most of us
think
have
that
experiences with obsessive relationships. A lot of us
yeah,
do.
yeah. And I think that I thought it was like brilliantly. Some people didn't like the way it was written, that like very like sparse to the point
I thought
language.
it
I
was
thought it was
that
great.
was
I thought it
great.
was very much Boulder's voice was to be
Yeah.
very like not flowery at all. To not like it was very just like
Well, it was so matter of
basic.
fact. The way I feel Boulder is
Yeah,
so matter of
that's what I'm
fact.
looking for. Matter of fact. That's what I
Yeah.
was trying to find. So I loved it.
I loved it too. Yeah. Screw you
Well,
dudes who didn't. Anyway, moving on.
my third author, who I've read several things from this year, but we'll start with this beautiful, beautiful book that I have, and that's Under the Earth and Over the Sky by Emily McCosh, who is an
Mm-hmm.
indie self-pub author. I just backed their Kickstarter for their next like novella that's coming out, which looks phenomenal, and I think is kind of like almost like a Kelpie kind of story. It's like centered around something with the sea and like mythical creatures around the sea. Very curious. And they also are an artist, so like all of their books are illustrated by them, and they're so like they're
Oh, like
stunning. Like
Brom.
yeah, they're stunning books, um, inside and out. And I read. Did I read this first, or did I read the novellas? So she has this, which is a full length novel, which is a beautiful story about a fairy who ends up um, adopting this changeling and their life together and all this other stuff that's happening in the world. And it's kind of cozy, kind of not. It's got a lot more stakes than a regular cozy fantasy. But there are these like kind of things coming in to threaten the world around them. And it's a story about like fatherhood and relationships and parenting and um, protecting the world around you. Oh, because it's so beautiful and the writing is so stunning. It gives me Laini Taylor vibes. Love it. This is so good. And then the writing in her novella series, Planet Fall, I think is what it's called. There's 6 of them, I believe. They're all out now, and that is like this really funny
Hmm.
sci-fi novella series where you have this like cyborg, and they're like is it a dog or a raccoon? I think it's a dog sidekick that has like a cyborg dog sidekick, and then they're going around on these planets, and they're like trying. They're like a bounty hunter, and
What?
they end up having to like bounty hunt these kids. It's fun. The writing is completely different. It is funny, and I love it. I have to finish it. I'm like halfway through. It's so lovely. Like I just love
Wow.
everything they're coming out with. I think that they are I really love what they're writing. I just really love it, and I wish more people would talk about them. I really do, because I feel like we see these people that kick off
Yeah.
in the like self pub space, and
Yeah.
I would love to see Makash kick off too. I think that Emily Makash is phenomenal, so I would check out everything they're doing.
Yeah, when you talked about that book the first time, it sounded so wonderful. I really need to. I might order that for myself for my birthday as a part of
It
my
is
birthday shopping.
heartwarming. Do it. It is heartwarming. It is beautifully written. It is lyrical. It is got just the right amount of action. It is so good.
Yeah, that's gonna have to make that happen. All right, my next book. I don't think you like this book. I could be wrong. I
I'll
thought I
tell
heard you say
you.
you didn't like this. In Memoriam by Alice Wynne.
I didn't read In Memoriam.
Oh, okay. I don't know what book that was. I thought you didn't like this. Okay, good, good, good,
No,
good,
I
good.
read the other one. I read that everybody was saying was going to be shortlisted or longlisted. What was that stupid book
And
that I really
Ascension.
hated? In Ascension, I didn't like
Oh, okay. All right.
at all.
I've got that one on the shelves. We have to see how I feel about that one. So
Driest, just humorless, just awful book. The best
oh
part is when the
wow.
algae crawls out of the guy's eyes. Anyway,
Oh my. Okay. Well, I read In Memoriam earlier this year. Thank you, Knopf, for sending me this final copy in advance of its release date. I fell in love with this book. It's one of those books where I just did not want to leave the story, and I just could not get enough of it. So we're in World War I, and we're in boarding school with these guys, and there's a gentleman named Gaunt who is secretly in love with his best friend Ellsworth. No, Ellswood. And the war is happening, and his family, Gaunt's family, asks him to join the war. And so he enlists, but he really does it because he wants to really escape all the feelings and things that he's having for Elwood. And so, that's a crazy thing to do, but that's what happened. But unbeknownst to him, Elwood then quickly joins also to be with him because he doesn't know that Elwood also has feelings for him. And so quickly after Elwood enlists, all of their other friends from boarding school also enlist. So it's a real beautiful story about, love in the time of war, about friendship, the push and pull between Gaunt and Elwood. And it is just, I don't know, it just like cracked my heart open, and I just soaked up every single page. I think Alice Wynn is a beautiful writer, and I think about this book all the time.
Maybe that should have been long listed instead of in Essential.
I'm surprised it wasn't. I would love to read this. I would like to listen to it because I've read this, but I wonder how the audiobook sounds. So maybe I'll look for this on audio and listen to it as my second read. But wow, what a beautiful, just a gripping, touching, heartwarming book, In Memoriam by Alice Wynn.
I've heard really good things about it.
It's hard to not think about it after you read it. It's just, it really touches you. It really does.
I'm just watching Mercy. She just came out of the bedroom.
She's adorable.
Hot. She came out hot. She was like, running. Like, what? What did you see?
Do you have another one? Or
no, that was 3.
Oh, because you went first this time, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So anyway, check these authors out. They are all well worth the read.
What are your favorites?
Yes, let us know.
Especially your new favorites from this year in general. Let us know.
Yeah.
We love finding new authors.
Yes. Yeah. That's part of the fun, right? Discovering new to you authors. I love that about reading.
I'm hungry.
Well, anyway. I have this Slurpee, so I'm not hungry.
Well, no, I don't have a child to bring me a Slurpee. So my child does not bring me Slurpees.
Your child just comes out the bedroom with her looking hot.
I'm just like, what's going on? She's so stinking cute, man.
She's adorable.
Oh, I love her so much. I miss her so much when I'm at work. It's ridiculous. It's inappropriate.
So it's sweet.
Is it sweet or is it psychosis? It's sweet. How much I miss my dog while I'm at work.
I miss my mom's dog when I'm, away.
Yeah. If I could bring her
dog,
to work,
I miss my daughter's dog. It's not my dog. I miss them.
I miss them. Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah. Do you have a book recommendation?
Oh, I absolutely do. This is another one that I brought to the show when I was in the midst of reading it, but I have finished it. And listen, it is our gal, Sarah Waters, The Paying Guest. You do have this one.
I do.
Please read it as soon as you can. So mom and daughter, the father has recently passed, and they have this home that they are acting as landlords, and people, are coming to stay there. And this one particular couple comes to stay there long term. And, we're learning a little bit about this couple as we go on in the beginning of this book. And the wife is making friends with the daughter of the home. They're getting to know each other. And, as the chapters go on, the wife is saying various things that leads you to believe that they're not really in the happiest of marriages. And, things are a little bit not at ease. And so we get to really see how this couple got together. And we get to really see how the wife feels about her marriage and her husband. And we also see how her relationship with the daughter grows, and we get more backstory on the daughter's life, get more information on the father that recently passed, because in the beginning of the book, the daughter makes these very snide comments, very flippant, like, basically like dad didn't know much, or he didn't know what to do with money and things like that. It's like there's a level of respect that she does not have for her father that we get to explore more as the story goes on. But Sarah Waters is just so good at just throwing, like, you feel like you're there. I felt like I was also a guest at this home, and that I was just casually sipping my tea in the drawing room listening to these conversations. It was fantastic. And I don't want to say anymore because a lot unravels between these people and it would just ruin it for you. But
Don't
if you've
ruin
never
it.
I won't. If you've never read Sarah Waters, you must.
Hmm.
I've read what have I read by her? I've read Fingersmith, the little stranger, um Tipping the Velvet. Is that it? Yes. And now The Paying Guest. I have two more books in her backlog to read, which is The Night Watch and Affinity. But this woman can write. She is a pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
She has not disappointed me yet. I can't even choose a favorite right now. It's too hard. So I'm not going to. I'm just going to say
Go
just read her
whales.
backlist. Read her backlist. That's The Paying
Hmm.
Guest by Sarah Waters.
I'll get there eventually. I need to just read books all day. Is what I really need to do. I need that to be my job, not
I know. I know.
cleaning poop. But anyway, that's not the way it is.
Yeah.
So I don't have a book to hold up for you because I listened to this and it's not out yet, and I don't have a physical copy in any way, shape, or form. But I did finally read Bookshops and Bone Dust, which is the
Oh,
prequel to Legends and Lattes.
okay.
And I freaking loved it.
Really?
I did. I was so scared that I wasn't going to like it and I was somehow not going to hit the same. And it hits different, but the same. Like
Yeah, I know what you
it's
mean.
not the same note, but
Mm-hmm.
like I love it. We get to see Viv, and she is still like out there being her little mercenary self, but she gets wounded and um she has to like lay up in this town by the seaside while she recovers, and her whole band goes off to do what they're doing, and they're going to eventually come back for her. So there is this time limit on everything. Like she's only there for a short period of time, but she ends up just trying to while away the hours. So she stumbles into this bookshop and she meets this ratkin who owns this bookshop, Fern, and she is like spunky and has like a foul mouth and is like disheveled and like basically reminded me of me with all my books piled everywhere. And so she ends up getting book recommendations from Fern, and then she ends up, like meeting other people in the town. There's people that there's a baker who she meets that makes fantastic pastries, and like they end up having like a little sort of short term romance. Viv learns to love books, particularly romance books. There is like she helps make the bookshop more lucrative. They have a whole issue with this necromancer that comes up. So there is
Oh,
like a little bit of stakes, not a lot, but just a little bit, just to like give them something to do. Um, love all of the creatures and characters are phenomenal. I love them. I want to
oh,
live. This is like one of those cozy books where I want to live in it. Travis
yeah.
Baldree writes books like that. T. Kingfisher will write books like that, and like I love them. I loved it so much. It was so good,
That sounds wonderful. I'm glad
and
you
I'm
love these
hoping
books.
I know. And I'm hoping he'll do some spin-offs. Like some of the stories that he talked about Viv reading, I think would be
Mm-hmm.
fun if he did versions of those. And then also there is this very wealthy sort of recluse writer like that lives in the
Yeah.
town that becomes a character in the story. And like think like Daniel Steele, like that kind of somebody, like they write all
Yep.
these like prolific writer, Nora Roberts, something like that. And um she like lives alone with like her butler, and like I want like that story, I want like her story,
Mm.
I want whatever that is. And yeah, I thought it was really good. And then we get like this kind of full circle thing where she's back in like her current timeline in Legends and Lattes, and she gets like a little
Mm.
update letter about the people back in the seaside town whose name is escaping me. If I had the book in front of me I could remember it, but I loved it. I thought it was so good. I
That's
just
lovely.
that made me happy. And that's why I like those books.
I'm so
They make
glad.
you happy.
I
And
get
that's
it.
out, probably out now, like as you're listening to this, but it'll
Hmm.
be out on the 7th of November. And I love it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And people love those books. I'm glad. It makes people happy. I love it.
Yeah, I think that Travis Baldree finds the right balance, in my opinion. I know not everybody loves them, but most people do. It
Yeah.
seems it's very well received.
Oh, very much
Um,
so.
he strikes a really good balance between like slice of life and
Hmm.
giving you enough plot like stuff to like keep it going so that you don't get bored. It isn't just like, okay, what's the point of following these people throughout their life? They at least have a little something, a little stakes, a little something to like drive them,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, Legends and Lattes was a very well received book way before it became a TikTok sensation.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
was always a beloved book.
So
So that must feel good to him as
I
an author.
love these books, and I would love to see more things spun off from them.
Yeah.
And they don't always have to be Viv, like I
Mhm.
was saying. Like there are other characters in there that it would be really interesting to see their lives, and I feel
Yeah.
like you could make a whole
Treat it like a
world
romance
where,
novel, right? How like the
yeah, or
romance
like
novels
they're
were
all
oh, now we'll do the
interconnected.
sister or the
Yeah.
friend or yeah. That'd
Yeah,
be great.
you could make this like wildly interconnected set
Hmm.
of books. And you could see some of your old favorites maybe as you're going along. So I think
That
that
actually
would be
sounds
fun.
wonderful.
But
Sounds wonderful.
I wonder what he has in the works. But some of the stories, like I was thinking about, remember how I was seeing Fangirl behind me, remember how they started like Wayward Son and everything as like they
Hmm.
were like the fanfics that are being written in Fangirl. And I think that would be really fun to do sort of things sort of meta like that. Like,
Yeah.
and have the books that he's talking about in these books that you get like tastes of the stories and really do them. It
Yep.
would be fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm glad you enjoyed that.
I did.
Well, this was a good show. Yeah. I love giving folks I have Rex on things to read. That's fun.
Me too.
It's fun. All right. Well, follow us everywhere at TBR Lowdown. And yeah, that's gonna do it for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Alyssa's hungry. So
Alyssa is hungry. She's going to order a pizza.
we love it. That's gonna do it for us. We're gonna wrap it up and we're out of here. Bye.
Bye.